Okay, so you open your phone. Maybe it's during what you tell yourself is a quick break, but, it stretches into 20 minutes.
Happens to the best of us.
Right. And you're scrolling through, well, the usual chaos, all the 5-minute productivity hacks, the geopolitical meltdowns, the perfectly optimized meal preps.
The endless scroll of competence, or attempted competence.
Exactly. And then you pause. Because there it is, a video, maybe someone unboxing a 20-year-old plastic egg thing, a Tamagotchi.
Or like a flat lay of Lisa Frank stickers, perfectly arranged.
Yes, and you feel this sudden ache. It's hard to explain, right? An inexplicable ache. And it feels somehow more profound, heavier than any insight you got from, I don't know, managing your 401k or surviving that last brutal performance review.
It really is the emotional core of what's happening culturally right now, isn't it? That specific feeling.
It is.
Why does that tiny, cheap piece of plastic from, 2003, why does that make your chest clench more than the most profound thing your therapist told you last week?
Right.
That visceral pull. It's super fascinating. But, and this is key, it's rarely about the actual memory itself. It's something else.
Exactly. And that feeling, that something else, that's the focus of our deep dive today.
Okay.
You want to look beyond the marketing spin, the stuff that aggressively labels this whole thing as self-care.
Oh yeah, the self-care industrial complex loves this.
Totally. We're going to apply more of a psychoanalytic lens here. The question we really need to unpack for you is this. Are you just remembering the past fondly? Or is this actually a kind of secret, maybe even sophisticated rebellion?
A rebellion against
What?
the pressure.
Against the crushing, performative weight of just being an adult today. Modern existence.
Because the core idea, when you look at all these symptoms together, it gets a bit unsettling.
It does.
We're not just reminiscing about childhood. It looks more like we're clinically, psychically, maybe even pathologically reenacting it.
Wow. Reenact?
Yeah. It's like this quiet epidemic of adult regression, but it's all dressed up in soft pastels and glitter and then sold right back to us, packaged as nostalgia.
Okay, so let's unpack the evidence first. Lay out the symptoms. Because this regression, it's everywhere, and it often shows up as these really specific habits. Buying things, consuming things.
What are we actually seeing people do?
We're seeing people, fully grown, tax-paying adults buying Lisa Frank sticker books at 34.
I've seen it.
Or wearing, cartoon character socks to serious Zoom meetings.
A little flash of rebellion under the desk.
Exactly. And consciously choosing to rewatch something like Lizzie McGuire instead of, dealing with that pile of bills or that overflowing inbox.
Avoidance, but make it cute.
Pretty much.
And then there's the ultimate move, the one with the built-in justification. Collecting Pokemon cards, maybe vintage Happy Meal toys.
Oh, yeah.
But framing it, needing to frame it as an investment.
Right. It has to have that adult capitalist logic layered on top.
That need to rationalize buying childhood stuff with grown-up terms. It just screams psychic tension, doesn't it?
It absolutely does.
These are, textbook symptoms of a defense mechanism. What you're describing here, clinically, it's called regression.
Regression, okay. For those of us maybe not currently rereading our Freud, can you break that down, plain English?
Yeah, sure. Simply put, regression is like the psyche's escape hatch. It's a retreat to an earlier, supposedly safer stage of development.
Okay.
So when adulting feels too hard, too demanding, maybe genuinely overwhelming, when the pressures of reality just feel unbearable.
Which feels like often.
The ego basically just hits Curricle plus Z. It tries to load the 2004 save file of your life.
Wow, okay. Loading the 2004 save file.
But here's the thing. It isn't about accessing true, accurate memory. It's more like magic thinking.
Magic thinking.
Yeah, the unconscious belief that by returning to the look and feel of a safer time, you can somehow magically restore the actual safety itself.
So, the enjoyment of the aesthetic, the cute Tamagotchi, that's almost secondary. Is the real goal just permission to fail? Or maybe permission to stop performing competence all the time?
I think that's the function, yeah. The enjoyment is kind of the cover story the ego tells itself.
Okay.
The core goal, unconsciously, is to get psychic permission to just drop the mask. The mask of adult competence.
And the aesthetics help with that.
Absolutely. Look closely at them. Childcore. Soft pastels, glitter, even the specific little beeps and boops of a Tamagotchi. It's like a visual and auditory sedative. It's designed to trigger what we sometimes call limbic nostalgia.
Limbic nostalgia, that's that gut punch feeling you mentioned earlier.
Precisely. It's that deep, visceral kind of recall. It bypasses your prefrontal cortex, your rational adult brain.
The part that worries about bills.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it speaks directly to the limbic system, especially the amygdala, and it just whispers.
What does it whisper?
You are safe here. No one is demanding competence right now. No one is asking you to optimize anything. It's basically achieving a change in your mental state, but you bought it through an object.
Okay, so this retreat, this hitting Strel plus Z, it has a powerful cause, right? And this is where it gets, I think, really compelling. Let's try and map out the impossible script of modern adulthood that's driving this.
Oh, the script. Yeah, it's a doozy.
It really is. You're told, often simultaneously, that you absolutely must be the CEO of your own personal brand.
Right. Always optimizing your profile.
But you also have to be humble. Don't brag too much.
God forbid. And you must be a trauma-informed partner.
Yeah.
Deeply empathetic. But also effortlessly fun and spontaneous. No downers allowed.
And you have to be a mindful meditator, totally present and grounded.
Zen master level.
While also hustling 24/7 to survive in this hyper-competitive marketplace.
Make more money, but be detached from it spiritually. Be financially literate, obviously.
Be self-actualized.
Yeah.
Reach your potential.
But also make sure you're relatable and messy on Instagram. Show the struggle, but, make it aesthetic.
It's not just contradictory. It feels like the rules are constantly shifting.
They are. And maybe the most exhausting part, no one really claps when you actually manage to pull it off for 5 minutes. There's no reward.
No finish line.
No finish line. The psychic demands are just, they're unsustainable for a lot of people.
So when that script becomes basically impossible to follow, the psyche just initiates the retreat.
Makes sense.
And we're not just talking about retreating into passive stuff, endless Netflix binges, although that happens too.
Right.
We're seeing retreats into these highly curated, specific childhood simulations. You mentioned earlier the thing about adults watching the kids show Bluey alone and crying.
Yeah, it sounds almost silly when you say it out loud, but that emotional connection people report, it's a real phenomenon. It points to something.
What does it point to?
It points to this sudden, aching realization of just how much gentleness is missing from our current adult script.
Yeah.
How much pressure there is.
That makes sense. That retreat is a powerful move then.
It really is. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, maybe using that classical Freudian lens again.
Okay.
This whole mass regression trend seems driven by one ultimate, usually unconscious wish.
Which is?
To be loved without having to earn it. To be held without having to perform. To just exist without constantly having to optimize your utility or your output or your relatability.
So the adult self, just completely exhausted by trying to earn love or validation.
Yeah.
It creates what psychoanalysis would call a fantasy formation.
Exactly. It's like a psychic airbag. It inflates it to cushion the inevitable crash of adult reality.
And adult reality is defined by what? Contingency.
Performance.
Yeah, contingency and performance. Everything feels conditional. The fantasy of unconditional love is perfect because, well, being a fantasy, it likely never truly existed in that pure form.
Right.
Which means it can never truly fail us or disappoint us again. It's safe because it's not real. Okay, this feels like a good moment to bring in the classic psychic apparatus framework. Ego, superego, because that really helps diagnose the internal civil war almost happening inside the mind of the nostalgic adult.
Yeah, that framework is super useful here. So first up, you've got the id.
The id, that's the screaming, impulsive toddler part inside us, right? It wants candy, it wants instant gratification, and absolutely zero consequences.
Nailed it. Then you got the ego.
The poor ego.
The poor, exhausted adult mediator. Just trying to juggle the id's completely unreasonable demands with the outside world's rigid rules and expectations. It's stuck in the middle.
And finally, casting a long shadow, the superego.
The internalized parent. Or maybe the internal cop, the CEO, that critical voice.
The moral judge.
Yeah, the part that's constantly judging you for wanting the candy or, the vintage Tamagotchi in the first place. It tells you should be doing something more productive.
So how does this play out with modern nostalgia?
Well, it looks like the id is kind of hijacking the ego. The id convinces the weary mediator, the ego, that this regression, this cartoon binge, this Lisa Frank purchase, it's actually self-care.
Ah, the magic word.
Right. And if it's self-care, then it's a necessary, even virtuous sanctioned expense or activity. The ego buys it because it's exhausted.
So the id gets its candy, basically. But what does the superego say about dropping $50 on a 20-year-old piece of plastic?
Well, the superego definitely judges the perceived frivolousness, the waste of time or money. But then the id, via the ego, pushes back. It justifies the purchase by pathologizing the adult life it's trying to escape from.
How does it pathologize it?
By saying things like, I deserve this because I'm basically trauma bonded to the hustle culture, or my adult life is so stressful, this is the only way I can cope. It frames the regression as medicine.
Wow. That's quite the internal negotiation.
It is, and this whole struggle, it's often driven by a much deeper, often terrifying realization that tends to hit us in adulthood. It's related to what Freudians might call the Oedipal truth.
Which isn't really about parents in that literal way anymore, but more the fundamental reality that we're not the center of the universe.
Exactly. We're not the main character in everyone else's story. And crucially, no one is actually coming to save us.
Oof, yeah.
We are, terrifyingly, the adult who's supposed to be in charge now. And deep down, maybe we feel wildly underqualified for that role.
So the psyche just rewinds, hits escape.
Yeah. It looks for that feeling of safety again. The longing isn't really for specific childhood memories, even though it feels like it is. It's more a longing for the feeling of safety and structure provided by the fantasy of the all-powerful parent.
The one who loved us just because we existed. Before performance reviews.
Exactly. That's the core driver underneath so much of this, I think.
Yeah.
The profound desire for unconditional love.
Okay, so it sounds quite poignant, almost. We just want to be loved unconditionally. But you suggested earlier this longing isn't passive. There's actually an aggressive component to it.
Yes, I think it's inherently aggressive. Or maybe oppositional is a better word. This regression, it's a form of sabotage.
Sabotage against what?
Against the demands of the superego.
Yeah.
Every time you consciously choose to watch a cartoon, instead of answering that demanding work email, you're staging a small, internal revolt.
A revolt against?
Against the superego's relentless pressure to produce, to optimize, to constantly prove your worth. You're essentially saying, nope, I refuse to play this impossible game right now.
Huh. I never thought of it as aggressive, but that makes sense. It's a no.
It's a powerful no. And this revolt often uses a classic defense mechanism, displacement.
Displacement. Okay, refresh us on that one. It involves Freud's idea of libido, right? Psychic energy.
Exactly. Libido, that psychic energy or desire, it has to go somewhere. It needs an outlet.
Okay.
Now, directing that raw longing, that need for validation or safety towards actual, complex, risky human beings, well, that's dangerous. People can reject you, abandon you, misunderstand you.
Right. Humans are messy.
Very messy. So what do? You reroute the energy. You displace it onto predictable, controllable, nostalgic objects. A trapper keeper, a Beanie Baby, a Tamagotchi.
So wait, you can't actually ask your actual parent, did you really love me enough? Or am I okay? Because maybe that question is just too loaded, too terrifying.
Precisely. The potential answer is too devastating.
You can go online and buy the exact Trapper Keeper design that maybe your mom praised you for using back in 4th grade. And for a moment, holding that object, you feel a little echo of that approval, that safety. But it's controlled. It's attached to the object.
Exactly. It is profoundly safer to obsess over finding the perfect conditioned Trapper Keeper or getting your Tamagotchi to its final evolution than it is to ask another human being point blank, am I enough? The object itself doesn't really matter. What matters is the predictable, controllable emotional return it offers. It's a simulation.
But here's where it gets really modern, I guess. The cruel irony you mentioned.
Oh yeah, the system loves this. Capitalism is thrilled by this emotional displacement.
Because the whole inner child industrial complex is just booming.
It's huge. Etsy's thriving, shipping people vintage childhood snacks in curated boxes. Instagram is full of aesthetic regression.
So we're using the very system consumer capitalism that arguably made adulthood feel so exhausting and performative in the first place to buy our way back to a simulation of a time before we understood the pressures of that system.
We literally use money to buy the feeling of not having financial stress or adult responsibility via these objects. It's wild.
We're buying plushies and special journals marketed to help us heal our inner child.
Which just turns healing into another form of consumption, another task to perform correctly. We've completely commodified our own psychic defense mechanism.
Okay, this brings us to, I think, the final, maybe necessary, but definitely the most unsettling layer of this whole deep dive.
All right, let's go there.
Ultimately, this nostalgia, it's really grief in disguise.
Say more about that. Grief for what?
We're not really mourning 2003 or the specific shade of purple on that Trapper Keeper, or the taste of Dunkaroos.
Yeah.
We are mourning the illusion of the future we thought we'd have. We're mourning the version of ourselves we believed we would become when we grew up.
The version that thought growing up meant becoming. What powerful.
Secure.
Yeah, powerful, secure, whole, like adults had it figured out, instead of feeling, I don't know, fragmented and perpetually exhausted.
We're mourning the death of the fantasy that adults knew what they were doing. Because now we're the adults and we suspect we don't.
Exactly. And this desire to re-enter childhood, or at least recreate its supposed conditions, it drives what Freud called the compulsion to repeat.
The repetition compulsion, that's a big one.
Explain that. It's the unconscious drive to...
It's the unconscious drive to reenact painful, unresolved childhood patterns or dynamics. Things like fear of abandonment or a desperate need for approval or feeling unseen.
Why reenact painful things?
In a futile, unconscious attempt to finally master them this time around, as an adult. To somehow win the old scenario. So we're not just remembering childhood, we're trying to go back and fix it.
Yes. Instead of actually finishing it, processing it, and moving on as an adult, we get stuck in the loop.
And here's the ultimate trap, maybe? The modern twist.
Go on.
We've even managed to turn the inner child itself into another key performance indicator, a KPI.
Oh no, how so?
Even your regression, your healing, it has to be Instagrammable now. It needs to be on brand, productive.
Right. You post about your healing journey with your new collection of vintage toys.
And you wait for the likes, the comments, validating how well you're doing at healing. Look how well you're nurturing your inner child.
We haven't liberated the inner child at all.
No, we've rebranded its cage, made it look cuter.
And the superego, the inner critic, is probably nodding along now saying, good job performing emotional vulnerability, excellent content, very on brand. Hashtag tag outro.
So, okay, let's try to synthesize this. If you're feeling that ache when you scroll past that Tamagotchi video, remember this. That ache probably isn't just memory, it's more like a negotiation.
A negotiation between who?
You're negotiating internally. With your trying to get permission to stop performing for a minute, and with your superego trying to get it to stop punishing you for wanting a break.
And the Tamagotchi, or the sticker, or the cartoon.
It's like a digital pacifier, a simulation of safety. Think about it. The Tamagotchi beeps when it's hungry, you press a button to feed it, and it stops beeping. Simple, predictable, solved.
Unlike your actual life.
Exactly. Unlike your real adult hunger for meaning or connection or genuine safety, which is so much harder to satisfy with just a simple programmed input.
It really is.
So the ultimate question, maybe the one Freud would force us to confront, is this. What if your inner child isn't actually asking to be cuddled?
Not asking for juice boxes and overalls.
Right. What if it's not asking for more stuff at all? What if it's actually asking to be mourned?
Mourned, as in let go.
Yeah. Acknowledged as a ghost of the past, perhaps thanked for getting you this far, and then finally released, buried in a way, so that the adult self can actually step up and fully live.
Wow. That's a much harder task than buying a Beanie Baby.
Much harder, which is maybe why you'll keep scrolling and you'll keep buying the simulations.
Yeah.
Because mourning means facing that really terrifying contingent truth we talked about.
No one is coming to save you?
No one. You are the adult now. And that leaves you, our listener, with the provocative thought for the day. Something to maybe mull over next time you feel that nostalgic pang as you close your phone and face your inbox.
What is it?
What exactly are you using childhood to avoid becoming?